Thank you all so much for tuning in today. I'm really excited, very personally as well, to dive into this office hours, both to learn all about how to live peacefully in a stressful life, and also because a core goal of Dreamers and Doers is to amplify you in your journeys. And one of the ways that we achieve this is by facilitating game-changing educational events such as this one that give us all the opportunity to up-level together. So before we officially begin, I want to share a bit of background information on our esteemed expert. Stephanie spent over a decade in the personal development industry, having worked as a subconscious rewiring coach, hypnotherapist, breathwork facilitator, and teacher of self-love. She is now serving her divine calling as the co-founder of the Rapid Rewire Method. Stephanie is deeply obsessed with the Rapid Rewire Method tools, which are groundbreaking and radically effective psycho-emotional and spiritual processes that guarantee rapid integrative change. And it's her mission to show the world why these tools are truly capable of cultivating joy, fulfillment, and happiness by ending cycles of suffering. By helping her past clients identify and remove mental and emotional roadblocks, Stephanie has shown them the path to achieving the personal, professional, and financial results they want. Her work proves that shifting from a life of limitation and stress to one of power and freedom is possible. And with the Rapid Rewire Method, she's making that shift fast, painless, and sustainable. So with that, I will hand it over to you, Stephanie. We are so excited to learn from your expertise today. We know how valuable your time is, and we're so grateful to you for investing in the Dreamers and Doers Collective in this way. And as far as questions go for everyone, if you have any questions, we will have a dedicated Q&A time at the end. So feel free to drop your questions in the chat and we will get back to them, or just jot them down and we can address them at the end of the session. So over to you, Stephanie.
Thank you so much, Hannah, and thank you to D&D for letting me do the office hours, and for all of you who have shown up today. I know you could be anywhere, and you're here with me, and my deepest intention really is to provide value for you. So make sure, if you haven't already, grab a pen and paper for the session. And I hope you all are ready to create a powerful breakthrough around something that you've been stuck with or feeling stressed around, so that you can come back to more centered, peaceful living. Now, this is known. We all know that, especially since the pandemic, the world is kind of on fire. And that's why we're entrepreneurs and we're trying to come up with the most innovative, fresh, exciting, and powerful ways to put that fire out. And we're all offering something that's really unique to this collective effort. And, every day there's so much stimulus coming at us at all times. And especially when we're in our careers, there are days, I don't know about you, but I know I felt this, where I've wanted to throw in the towel or shut everything down or burn it all down and quit, because sometimes that stress or the overwhelm or the frustration, or maybe there's even shame or guilt around not being where you think you should be already, it gets really heavy for us. And it continues to compound that stress upon stress upon stress that we're feeling. And so I'm here for one major reason, and that's to remind you all that you are exactly where you're meant to be in this moment. And in every single moment that you experience for the rest of your life, you are exactly where you were meant to be. And we are all limitless beings. And yet we find ourselves so limited in many ways, stuck or stalled from achieving what we want. And the only thing that keeps us from knowing that and feeling and being in that powerful, limitless frequency are those pesky, disempowering emotions, which, again, all emotions are welcome to the table. But when we get stuck in those cycles of disempowering emotions, it can really take us out. And also those voices that are telling us things like, maybe you're not working hard enough, you're not making enough, you're not creating enough of an impact, we're not enough, period. And those voices create those emotions that keep us stuck. Again, stress, guilt, overwhelm, disappointment, frustration. And when they run amok, they prevent us from doing the work that we want, from living in the way that we want, and from having the impact that we want to create. Now, of course, it's normal, and that's why people have dedicated their lives to helping others get out of those states. I'm one of them. And what we're going to cover today. So as promised, when you all signed up for this office hours, my deepest intention for today is to show you the underlying causes that keep you stuck in limiting patterns, that have you get stuck in cycles of fear, of stress, self-doubt, limitation, or overwhelm, which I know many of us high-achieving women can get stuck in as we move through our life personally and professionally, that actually prevent us from accessing our power at all times. And then, this is the fun part, I'm actually going to give you a direct experience to come back to functioning or to get realigned around something that you feel stuck or that you're struggling with, or something that's causing you stress or overwhelm. Because I'm big on experience, and that is what I want for you today. I want you to have an experience, that immediate shifting out of something, again, that you're stuck or feeling stressed with, or some issue that you might be looped in on that you can't seem to break, and have you actually come back to your power and back to your centered, peaceful living through working with one of our Rapid Rewire Method processes. So again, today is not just me talking at you, but it's having you have a true experience of a healing, of a transformation, of an integration around something that you want to break through. So does that sound good? Okay, awesome. But before we dive in, I actually did want to do a quick intro. I'll do it super fast too, because Hannah so beautifully already did it for me. I didn't realize, and I made a slide. So I am Stephanie Kwong. I have been obsessed with finding the best healing modalities. Literally, I'm a lot older than I look. I've been pursuing my own healing for over 20 years, and I've been a practitioner for 14 years. And again, trained in different types of subconscious rewiring, because I know that it's in the subconscious is where you literally have to get in to create the change if that's what you deeply desire. And so I became obsessed with subconscious rewiring techniques. I'm trained as a hypnotherapist, a breathwork facilitator, a somatic experiencing, NLP, you name it, anything that I'm like, how do we create rapid change? I became obsessed with and got trained in. And throughout my career, I've worked inside of different treatment centers with 2 addiction rehabs. I've worked with women who had borderline personality disorder and other mood disorders. I've had the one-to-many group coaching. And then in my private practice, one-on-one, I worked with really high profile and high achieving people. And so, of course, they want results and they want them fast. And I joke, but I'm actually very serious when I say, because I'm Asian, we like results, we like them quickly, and we don't like to waste time. So again, hence my obsession with, we're the fastest, most potent integrative tools. So not bypassing, but really getting people the change and the transformation that they want quickly. So I was working, again, with these high profile people, making anywhere from 30 to 50K a month, depending on how many clients I had and at the time. And so last year, I had a miscarriage, and I really want to be a mom, and I got pregnant without trying. And so when the miscarriage happened, and it was actually extremely physically painful, not just mentally, emotionally, I went into a pretty dark place. And I had one of those FU universe. It's not benevolent, it's cruel. Why did this happen to me? And even though I know there's no timeline for healing, but after 5 months, my tools weren't fully getting me there. And I was having days where I was super dysregulated. I couldn't get out of bed. I would see people, women with their babies, and I would start crying. I would think about the miscarriage, start crying, and I knew I needed help. And so I ended up, I feel like it was my spirit child who did this, but she introduced me to this set of protocols now called the Rapid Rewire Method, that literally in one session, in 60 minutes, the trauma from that miscarriage was processed. The emotional charge of sadness and grief was drained, that I couldn't even connect to it anymore after those 60 minutes. I literally was like, what did you do to me? And so I continue to work with these tools. And after 7 weeks, I literally heard the divine command, you're meant to bring these tools into the world. And so that is what I'm here to do. I kind of let everything go that I was doing before. Again, walked away from those 40K months. I'm climbing my second mountain as the co-founder of the Rapid Rewire Method, and really devoted to bringing these groundbreaking and radically effective mental, emotional, and spiritual processes that guarantee rapid and integrative change into the world, into the hands of the masses. So, a lot of us are taught that mental and emotional resilience has to be an uphill battle, and that we have to fight to build that muscle. But if there's anything entrepreneurs do, it's that they ask, how can I make this easier? How can I make this faster? And how can I make this less painful? Am I right? So enter these tools. And by, again, the end of this experience, my intention is that you have a true shift. So before we jump into the actual process, I did want to share, again, what keeps us stuck in these limiting patterns and prevent you from fully accessing your power at all times. So how do we get caught up in that doubt, in that fear, and that stress, that overwhelm, or having those inner barriers that keep us stuck from actually actualizing our goals? And why is it so hard to be able to experience peace? Well, I'm going to put this in the context of business just because I know D&D is very business focused, even though I know it's very lifestyle. But just for the state of this, I'm going to use this example of, maybe why it's so hard to struggle to achieve peace in our business, or to create from that space, or to achieve our goals. Well, oh, someone could put yourself on mute. That would be fabulous. So
that.
So imagine this is a very sophisticated drawing of the mind. And when you're born, there's a part of our mind that is already wired and functioning. We're going to call that the primitive part of the mind. And in this area, there are some responses that we have, which are fight, flight. And there are a few other ones as well, but we're just going to stick with fight, flight. So when you're born, you might have a couple fears, fear of falling, fear of loud noises, but then you have your fight, flight, and your primitive mind is formed. And then we start to associate and learn about the world around us through our experiences. So we start to have some positive experiences, negative experiences, neutral experiences that for each of us is going to make up how we interact with the world around us. And at this time, from about birth till 8 years old, you're in a pure hypnotic state, or you're a very suggestible state, meaning that we literally absorb whatever people are telling us. So the outer words of people around us become our internal words to ourselves. So if you're told that you are smart, stupid, capable, not capable, beautiful, ugly, that money is hard to make, or people aren't to be trusted, or it's easy to make money, whatever it is that you heard is you just receive that as your truth, and you take that on because you don't have the mental capacity to question or to basically say no to what you're hearing. So you literally are just absorbing all of this, and you're forming all these associations as well. So imagine, simple example, I loved animals when I was a kid. So I clearly had a positive association to animals. But let's say that someone got bit by a dog as a child, right? Now they have a negative association to dogs. And if a dog ran into this room, I'd be, probably trying to snuggle my face into it, especially my dog. And if, say, someone had a negative association, if a dog ran in the room, what would they do? They go straight into fight, flight. So they go into that stress response. So as another example, and I love this one, is because it's so poignant, it was in my life, it's like the relationship to failure. Like for me, when I failed, when I was a kid, there was so much shame, rejection, and judgment. So for me, I created a really negative association to failure. And it was really hard in the moments when I would fail, or I would watch myself sabotaging my own success because I would just try to avoid the failure, because what came with it was all the negativity. However, Sarah Blakely, first self-made female billionaire who created Spanx, she was interviewed and they asked her, what do you attribute your success to? And she said, my relationship with failure. Every night at dinner, my dad would ask me and my brothers, hey kids, what'd you fail at today? And hey, what did you learn? And so for her, she had a really positive association to failure. So as she became an adult, right, she was like, let me fail forward, fail fast. And she, as we see, we witness what she's created. So different people in the same world, given the same stimulus, can react very differently based on what we've learned. And then these become our automatic responses, and we're not even thinking about them anymore. And this also happens with positive responses, right? So it's how you respond to a situation and these automatic responses in the mind. We look at all of this as this part from birth till 8 is where your subconscious is mainly formed, majority of your blueprint. And this is about 88% of your mind power. Now, we can't be suggestible our entire lives. And so around 7, 8-ish years old, we start to form that critical thinking. And we're developing our brains in ways where we can start to have logic, reasoning skills. We begin to analyze, we can make decisions, and we have willpower, the one thing that doesn't work when we want it to. But this is when we start to develop, again, conscious mind, and this is about 12% of our mind power. Now, here's the thing. So let's say you make a conscious decision around something, right? I'm just putting peace around here because this is what this office hours was titled, is to create peace. But you could put anything here. It could be love, a romantic relationship. It could be wealth. It could be success in your company. It could be around your health, right? We make a conscious decision, and in this case, to create our business from a place of peace. I don't want to stress. I want to create from peace because I know that's where I can access creativity, more resourcefulness. And so you make the conscious decision, 12%, but all of a sudden, your mind's like, whoa, wait, hold on. Let me see what was stored in the subconscious. Actually, my achievements equal my self-worth, or my success. If I experience a failure, that means I'm a failure. Or I always need to be pushing myself harder to justify my existence. I'm not enough. I have to prove myself to be worthy of my success, right? That's what could be stored in this subconscious part. I'm just naming off some potential limiting beliefs that could stop us from actually just creating from a place of peace, but we create so much stress because if those underlying subconscious beliefs are there, it doesn't matter how hard you want to be peaceful, boom, it kicks it out. Stress response kicks in, and we get stuck in those cycles, right? And we keep repeating those unconscious beliefs that then keep creating the results in our life. We can never outperform our beliefs. We can never outperform our identities. And so, and if you put the conscious versus the subconscious, which one do you think is going to win? Every time, the subconscious. And so what we actually need to do is to achieve the things that we consciously say we desire, we have to get our subconscious aligned with it. And so the work is going into the subconscious, finding those little suckers that are blocking what it is that we say we want, and transforming them. And then once we do, then all of a sudden we get what we want. We're actually able to create the results that we desire, whatever it is that we want in our lives. So a lot of times when we struggle, right, our conscious desire, we aren't achieving it, and the subconscious is in the way. When people don't realize that this is what's actually happening behind the scenes, we can have conversations in our minds like, well, maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe I'm not meant to do this. And then we can go into comparison. We'll look at them. They're better than me. And it has nothing to do with your capability. It has nothing to do with whether you're worthy or not to receive what you want. It's literally a matter of, is your subconscious aligned, your beliefs, with what it is that you say that you desire? And that, again, is the work. So again, if you see, as I mentioned, different people in the same world, given the same stimulus, can react very differently based on what we've learned. That's why sometimes when we see certain people just crushing it with their career or their business, they have beliefs that are in alignment with what they're creating there. And you can do the exact same thing, again, any area of your life, not just business, but we're just using that for the sake of this, once those are aligned. And the stress that you're experiencing, right? We want to go like, how do I calm my stress down? How do I get rid of the overwhelm? And we might go to conscious tools like breath work, meditation, go for a walk, take a bath. Those are great and they're helpful to break the pattern, but is it sustainable? Because it's those beliefs that constantly get activated that kick up the stress response, that kick up the fight flight, right? As I mentioned before, failure. My God, I was stalled in my business for so long because I was so afraid of failing, because failure equals pain. And so I kept getting in my own way. And until I literally transformed that, then I was able to create what I want. And that's also when the stress died out. Like I could make mistakes and I wouldn't stress out. I wouldn't be overwhelmed. And so that is really the deep work to do here, is to get in there and to find that's what's limiting you. That's what constantly creates and activates the same cycles of stress, overwhelm, doubt, etc. So are you all ready to start identifying and removing those mental and emotional roadblocks? Yeah. And does this make sense? Does this model make sense? Let me know in the chat if it like landed for you, or if it's like, oh, you know, did you see something new? Maybe it's something that you already know, but maybe it landed differently for you this time. But I'd love to hear how that was for you to actually see when we're wondering what is getting in our way, that this is actually the only thing, and it has nothing to do with who we are, our capabilities, our worthiness at all. It's literally just a matter of what was programmed in when we were younger. So let me get back in here. What we're going to do is a process called reduction expansion. So this is again one of our Rapid Rewire Method tools, and I love this because you're going to start to see some of those limiting beliefs coming up. But what you want to go ahead and do is to choose a problem, a challenge, a barrier to a goal that you're struggling with right now. And it could be anything around personally, professionally, financially, whatever you want. And go ahead and write that down. What is that problem that you're struggling with? What's neat that I love about our tools is you don't have to go digging into the past to find the experience that happened when you were a kid in order to transform it. We're simply going to find what is that issue for you right now. So whatever problem, stuckness, setback, negative experience, how is it emotionally impacting you now? And then we can transform and clear it up quickly in the subconscious to dislodge it and to realign. And also, as I mentioned, through this particular process, you're going to start to see in front of you as you write out, it's a journaling process. We're bringing the unconscious content conscious. So you'll start to see some of the limiting beliefs that have been keeping you stuck around particular issues that you're going to be able to process today. And if at any point in time you want to go back to it, or look at the other ones you've written down and clean those up too, you're welcome to. So does everybody have, and if you can, come on camera too. I know a lot of you are off camera right now, but it's just going to help me in the process to know where everybody is, to be able to support you during this process. So please, pretty please come on camera. Thank you, thank you, thank you, beautiful faces. Okay, awesome. So once you have that problem, everybody have one? Raise your hand so I can see. This is what helps me to see everybody. Okay, great. So I want you to go ahead and close your eyes. Oh, and don't pick something that's massively huge for you, because again, we're going to be in a group format. So if it's going to be something bigger, like something that causes deep distress for you, maybe save that for another time. Since we're in a group, just try to pick something that's like, if it's an emotional charge from 1 to 10, 10 being like debilitating, 1 being it doesn't bother me, choose something around a 6. And what I want you to go ahead and do now is go ahead and close your eyes. And I want you to experience some of the elements of the problem that you wrote down. So what pictures come to mind when you put your attention onto that problem that you wrote down? I want you to see those in your mind's eye. You might see faces or places, circumstances, something. But just notice what images come to mind. And still with your attention on the problem that you articulated, what thoughts do you have? Think those thoughts. What thoughts come up? You might hear dialogues. It could just be, oh, this sucks. I don't want to deal with this anymore. Why am I stuck here? I just want to get rid of it. Just notice the thoughts. And then I want you to notice the body sensations. Where do you feel it in the body? And you could put your hand there if you want, but where do you feel it? And these sensations in your body, and just put your attention to it. And then lastly, I want you to identify the emotion that is the most predominant when you put your attention onto that particular problem. So what's the emotion that's most predominant when you put your attention on the situation? And I want you to go ahead and you can open up your eyes now. And I actually put up an emotion wheel in case you're stuck and you can't fully identify what that is. But go ahead and identify what is that emotion and write that down. What are you feeling? And try not to do 3 emotions at once. Try to pinpoint what is that one emotion that's really present in your space when you think about that issue that you wrote down. Okay. Good. And so now what I want you to go ahead and do is to rank and write down on a scale of 1 to 10, how intense is it emotionally for you? Because we're going to check in with this later to make sure that we've made progress for you. So 1 could be nothing at all, again, 10 is debilitating. But how strong is that emotion showing up? Just give it a number. Is it a 6? Is it a 3? Is it a 4? Remember, again, do not do something that's an emotional charge higher than a 6. Did you have something down? And then go ahead and write down, how do you actually want to feel instead? You could close your eyes if you need to do that, just to tune in, to reflect. It's like, how do you actually want to feel about this issue instead of the emotion that you wrote down? And once you know what's your goal, remember the goal is the goal feeling that you have, go ahead and write that down on the page. Good. And so now you've got a problem, you've got an emotion, you've got a ranking from 1 to 10, and now you're going to write down, again, that goal, how you want to be feeling instead. And what we're going to do in this process. So you're going to be writing down concise sentences about that particular problem that you wrote down. And you're going to write down how you feel about it now, because we can only process the now, not the past. And I want you to trust whatever comes up. Okay. So do not filter it. Be honest with yourself. It's just for you to work through, but write down those sentences as honestly and as raw as you can. And after you write down the sentences, I'm going to have you reflect on those 4 levels of awareness. So what we just did, right? I had you see what images came up, what thoughts, what emotions, and what body sensations. So you want to get in touch with each of these elements as best as you can so that you can allow yourself to fully experience it. And then this is a really important part that you participate in, because this is actually the part when we do the images, thoughts, emotions, and body sensations, when we're doing the cleaning of what's lodged in there. And then after you do that, I want you to actually, if you can, just say it out loud to yourself. So hopefully most of you are in a space but on your own, but just articulate it quietly to yourself, what you see, the pictures, the images, the emotions, the thoughts, and the body sensations. Okay. And again, trust whatever comes up. Do not filter it. And I'm sure many of you are pretty seasoned or experienced in all sorts of change practices and modalities along the way. And you might have some curiosity to be like, what is she doing? Is it like this modality? Is it like that? What is she doing in my brain? My request is this: please just set all of that aside for the next 20 minutes and just allow yourself to be served. So just run through this process as I have it for you. In the end, I promise I will tell you whatever you want to know. If you're curious, if you're a coach on here or a practitioner, you might be like, what is she doing? But just go through this process. Again, let yourself be served, come to a resolution for yourself, and I can answer any questions that you have. So what we're going to do, I'm going to actually take us off so I can see you and know where to keep moving, more or less. And again, if you can, pretty please put yourself on camera so I can see where everybody's at on the process. But what I want you to go ahead and do now, first thing, is to write down 4 concise sentences about how you feel about your problem right now. So just write down 4 concise sentences. Whatever comes up, don't filter anything. Don't censor yourself. Don't protect anyone. Be really raw. Again, you're not going to share this with anyone. I'm going to stay with you. But 4 concise sentences about how you feel about the problem now. And it could be like, again, I hate this. This is annoying. I'm done with it. Just want it to be over. Why does this keep happening? This seems so hard. Whatever it might be, Again, just write down 4 concise sentences, 4 easy sentences about how you feel about the problem. Trust whatever comes up. And when you're complete, you can just look up so I know that you're done. And thanks for doing the hard work, ladies. This is really where we can soar in our lives, when we actually are willing to dive in and clean up what no longer serves us so that we can continue to step into our highest and greatest selves. So thank you for being here and doing the work. And remember, 4 concise sentences, so not long drawn out paragraphs, just 4 sentences about the issue. Okay, so I want you to go ahead and look down at the sentences that you wrote out. Just read them silently to yourself, or read them back to yourself. And I want you to go ahead and close your eyes for a moment and notice what image or picture arises in your mind. It could be something weird. You're like, I don't know, it's just a blue square. Trust it, but just articulate quietly to yourself, what is the image that you see in your mind? And then now, I want you to notice, what are the thoughts? So what's your reactionary personal thought that you think when you read those sentences? It can be, I can't believe this is crap, how am I getting out of this? I'm so confused. Whatever that private thought is, just speak that quietly out loud to yourself. What's your private thought that you say out loud? And then, as you look at those sentences, or remember, recall those sentences, there's an emotion that comes up now. What is that? What is that emotion that's being provoked? And just verbalize that to yourself. And then I want you to notice, where do you feel that in your body? This is in your throat, your chest, your belly, your head, your back, your shoulders. Where do you feel it in your body? So when you think about or read those sentences, that's the problem. Where do you feel the sensations in your body? And just articulate to yourself, what is it that you're feeling? Is it hot? Is it tight? Is it vibrating? And where do you feel it? Good. So deep breath in and out. Let that go. Good. Put a big X through those 4 sentences. And now I want you to go ahead and write 3 concise sentences about how you feel about the situation now. So write 3 sentences about how you feel about the situation now. It could shift a little bit. Again, trusting whatever comes up. Don't filter anything. Be as open as you can. Don't overanalyze it. Just capture the first 3 sentences that come up around the problem now. When you're done, just look up so I know you're ready. All right. So go ahead and read those 3 sentences back to yourself now, the 3 that you wrote down. Just read them back to yourself, review them in your mind. And again, for a quick moment, close your eyes. And what image do you see now? What picture do you see? Trust whatever comes up and verbalize it to yourself out loud. A picture will pop up. What is it? Trust whatever's there. Some will seem random, but that's perfectly normal and fine. And then as you read those 3 sentences back to yourself, what thought do you think now? So what's that private personal thought that you think about what you wrote? And what do you say to yourself? Go ahead and verbalize that out loud. And as you read those 3 sentences, what emotion comes up now? So something will get provoked. What is it now? And if it's a similar emotion, what's different about the quality of that emotion now? Just notice and articulate to yourself, what is that emotion? And lastly, where do you feel that in your body? Where do you feel that emotion? So again, is it in the throat, the belly, the chest, the head, the pelvis, the back? Where do you feel it in your body? Identify it and speak it out loud. Describe what it is, how it is out loud so you can hear yourself. And again, this is a really important part, okay? This is where the cleanup is happening. If we want to release those elements that got trapped based on that experience and how we keep running the same patterns, we got to clean these parts up. Good. All right, everybody, deep breath in and out. Let it go, let it go. Anybody have any positive content yet? I just want to check because sometimes it shifts already. Or is it still negative content? Okay, good. If it's negative, cross it out. Put an X through it. Good. And now I want you to write 2 concise sentences about how you feel about the problem now. So again, writing whatever comes up, write 2 concise sentences about how you feel about the problem, the original problem now. Okay, good. And so look at those 2 sentences that you wrote down. Read them back to yourself. And now that when you see them there, we're going to identify those 4 elements of awareness again. So if you want, you can close your eyes and see what image now pops up in your mind and articulate that out loud to yourself. And then also, as you look at those sentences or think about those sentences that you wrote down, what thought comes to mind now? What's your private thought? And verbalize that to yourself. What do you say to yourself? And then now when you see those 2 sentences, a new emotion comes up. What's that? Label it and say it out loud to yourself. What emotion is that? And lastly, where do you feel it in your body? Just notice where you feel that emotion in your body. Describe it to yourself. What's the sensation? What's the quality of it? Okay, good. Deep breath in. Breathe out. Put an X through any of the sentences that were not positive statements. And then now you're going to write one concise sentence about how you feel about the problem now. So again, write one sentence, quick sentence about how you feel about the problem. First thing that comes to mind, write it out. One thing I love about these tools, they're very simple. You can recreate them. And it doesn't have to be super complex and hard. You can do this anytime on an airplane, in your home. Everybody got it? All right. So go ahead and read that one sentence back to yourself. And now notice, if you close your eyes, what picture comes to mind now? Identify with that. It's really important. What picture or image do you see in your mind when you review that sentence? Trust whatever's there. Verbalize it to yourself. And then when you read that sentence back to yourself, what thought do you think to yourself? What's the thought? And just articulate it out loud to yourself. And now what emotion is coming up? So it's probably shifting, but what emotion is there now and where do you feel it in your body? Notice it, say it out loud to yourself. Good work, brilliant. Okay, deep breath in and out. If there's any still negative sentences, you can cross those out with an X. And then now I want you to go ahead and write out one word about how you feel about the problem now. So trust what comes up, write just one word. Trust what comes up. And I want you to raise your hand if that word is shifted to something positive, like a positive content. Okay. Woo! All right. Good. And if it hasn't, that is totally okay too. So if you can type in the chat, I'd love to hear what your word is. If you're open to sharing, what is that one word? Cool. We have grateful, gift, open, okay, doable, capable. Great. Thank you, ladies, for sharing. So when you look at that one word, we're going to now do those 4 elements of processing, and then I'm going to tell you what to do next. Okay. So if you haven't shifted to positive, totally fine. Tell you what we're going to do. And if you've shifted to positive, totally fine as well. But look at that one word. And we're going to start moving through this faster because for the sake of time, but also because we can move, you get the drift of what we're doing. But go ahead and close your eyes, look at that word, close your eyes, see if there's an image that pops up now. Verbalize that to yourself. When you see that one word, you're going to have a private thought. What is it? Say it back to yourself. And when you think about that word, now what's the emotion for you? And vocalize that to yourself. And as you say that one word, as you feel that one word in your body, this new emotion, where do you feel it? Where's the sensation? Neck, belly, chest, speak it out loud. What's the quality of this feeling in your body? Good. So if you have a positive word, what I want you to do is we're going to now move back up the chain. So you're going to write those sentences 1, 2, 3, 4, but you're going to write it around the positive word that you have. If your word was not necessarily positive, again, totally fine. You're going to continue the process around the original problem. So whatever you wrote down as the original problem, sentences are going to be about that. If your word is positive, you're going to write the next chain of sentences based on that positive word. Okay. Good. Cool. Awesome. All right. So I want you to go ahead and write out one, and go ahead. It's a positive word, to go ahead and circle it. But for my positive people, this is for you. Write one sentence about this positive shifted feeling that you're in now. So if your word was positive, write me one concise sentence about the positive shifted feeling that you're feeling now. And for everyone else, write me one concise sentence about how you're feeling about the situation and the problem now. So one sentence about the problem, the original problem. Again, trusting whatever comes up. All right, good. So now review that sentence. You know what to do. You can close your eyes if you need to see the image pop up in your mind, but close your eyes or keep them open if you can see the image with your eyes open. Awesome. And just notice, what's the image now that's present? Describe it to yourself. And then tell me what's the thought, or tell yourself what's the thought. Notice the thought that comes with it. Say that thought to yourself. And what emotion is there when you see that one sentence? Now, what emotion is there? State that out loud, feel it in your body, describe the sensations. Good, take a deep breath in, breathe out, let that go. And now for my positive people, or the positive word, go ahead and write two concise sentences about the shifted positive feeling now. So 2 sentences about that word. All right, good. And then my friends who are still working through the original issue, write 2 concise sentences about the original issue now. And you might not start to notice that it's shifting. I'm sorry, they're vacuuming in the room next door now, if you can hear it. All right, ladies. So go ahead and look at those 2 sentences that you wrote down. And we're going to do the same thing. We're using the images. I know, Monica, you asked, what is the point of the images? We're actually cleaning them all out. And it might not make sense. This is your subconscious. This is how it's been stored. So it's just giving you information. But as we unveil it, it begins to lose its power. Okay. So again, just trusting whatever comes up, looking at those 2 sentences. Again, what image comes up for you? Articulate that out loud to yourself. What do you see? And then also, as you're seeing those 2 sentences, what's the new thought that arises? Articulate that out loud to yourself. And now what's the emotion that's there? Feel it, say it to yourself. And where do you feel that emotion in your body now? And just again, articulating the sensation that you feel. Okay. Does anybody still have any negative content coming up? You still do? Okay, no problem, Morgan. Is it Morgan or Morgan? Okay, Morgan. Yeah, no problem. So we're going to be closing this at some point soon, but just know, you just keep running through this, because all it's doing is deleting out. It's bringing, I mean, if you look at those sentences, you're starting to see, right, some of the stuff that you're lodged in there, like, ooh, okay, didn't know that was there. This is the cleanup that you can do to go back in and keep cleaning it, but we're already bringing unconscious content. So for you, Morgan, there just could be deeper levels to go. Totally okay. Okay. Awesome. And anybody else who might not be on camera, if that's the same case, totally fine. So now you're going to write 3 concise sentences about how you're feeling or experiencing your situation now, or about the word, if it's shifted to a positive word. So just write 3 sentences, again, writing whatever comes up. At some point, the content will shift. You go through this long enough, it will shift. But for now, write 3 concise sentences. And Hannah, I'm trying to race against the clock. We have a hard stop at the hour. I'm like, I want to make sure I finish this for everybody.
We don't have a hard stop, but we don't want,
No, it might be like 5 minutes.
We will stop at some point.
Yes, it might be like
But we
5
can
minutes.
definitely go over a few minutes for sure.
Okay, thank you. I'm just going to need you ladies to write faster. That's all we need to do. Okay, good. So go ahead and look at those 3 sentences that you wrote down and review them in your mind. And as you do, you can close your eyes or keep them open, but just notice what image comes up now for you and articulate that out loud to yourself. What's the image? Describe it. Looking at those 3 sentences, what's the thought that arises now? Articulate that out loud to yourself. And tell me what's the emotion. Identify what it is. Say that out loud to yourself. And then where do you feel it in your body? Is it different now? What do you notice? What's left? What's relieved? What's more open? What's less constricted? And just articulate that out loud to yourself. Good. We're in the home stretch. Now go ahead, deep breath in and out. Write 4 concise sentences about how you feel about the situation now. Get those 4 sentences down. Okay, so we're just gonna move through this last bit a little bit quicker. So looking at those 4 sentences, again, closing your eyes, seeing what image comes up now, articulate that to yourself. What's coming up now? Notice a thought, speak that out loud to yourself. What's the emotion now? Articulate that out to yourself. And where does it show up in your body? Brilliant. Good work. Okay. So deep breath in and out. We're going to end on one final word. So what's the word that you're feeling now around the original issue? And go ahead and write that down. Good. I actually see Laura already dropping in and doing the cleanup. Is that what you're doing, sister? Yeah, perfect. Yeah, you can go ahead and start doing all 4 levels of awareness. What's the image? What's the thought? What's the emotion? What's the body sensation around this word? Good. And so if you can, please share with me, what is the word, the final word that you landed on? Love to see that. What do you have in chat? Just drop that in there. We won't have as much time for a check-in, but where it's gratitude, hope, beautiful, relief, connection. Awesome, ladies. Thank you for sharing. And if you want, if we could just do one quick person, if you want to share an insight, learning, or revelation you had, or you can drop it in the chat. Yay, Monica's curious to apply this to other areas. Awesome. But go ahead and let me know maybe in the chat how this was for you. And also check back when you look at the original problem, scale of 1 to 10, how intense is it emotionally for you now? Whatever you wrote down, has it relieved? Is it the same? Has the numbers gone down? Yes, Adrienne, it is fascinating how quickly that you can feel unstuck. That's what's so cool about these tools, right? You can quickly clean up whatever's there holding you back, and it's really fast and quite easy to do as well. And we just did that in about 24 minutes. And here's the thing, one of the tenets that I was taught by one of my mentors, and it's one of the things that we talk a lot about at our different events that we have with Rapid Rewire, is that emotional turmoil is now optional, right? You just worked your way through it. And hopefully, Morgan, you got yourself there too, or if not yet, we can run through and offline and complete that out for you. But you just worked your way through something that has been keeping you stuck or stressed. And you've probably or potentially could have had hours of conversations with people complaining or griping and going on about it, only to make yourself more emotionally pent up. And it never seems to really release. And sometimes when we talk about it, we feel like we're venting and it's releasing, but you end up feeling, pretty much the same. And so really, you ladies were able to alleviate something that you identified as a challenging issue. And if you can just keep going back and cleaning this up, we don't have to live with stress. We don't have to live with overwhelm or self-doubt or frustration. You literally can come back to this tool at any time and just keep going through it. So I stopped you at the one word, but if you have more, go back, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1, until you get to the place where you're solid. And usually when you get to that word, right, connection, love, you can do an expander where you just sit in that feeling and let that emotion take over you and let it emanate from all parts of yourself and then go about your day. And the more you do this too, what's super cool is it goes really fast. There are times I'll do reduction expansion, that particular tool, and within by sentence 2, I'm like, it's all positive and it feels good. And I'll still get down to the one word, but it's quite extraordinary what you can be capable of to clean that up. And don't be surprised if now that you've done this, it's gone. You don't have to keep revisiting it or reworking it anymore. You will actually be complete with this. So pretty please use this tool on your own. And you can even use it on somebody else to clean and clear up anything when it gets funky or emotionally dysregulated with your work or at other points in your life. But please do this. You can't outperform your beliefs or identity. So start to clean them up. Again, you have a tool that you can use. What I love about our tools is they're so simple to facilitate and process, but we get powerful and transformational results. And as just a quick thing, if you want more information, we have trainings where we actually teach people a whole suite of tools to use. We do these with corporate companies. We help train up coaches and practitioners if they want to get certified in tools that actually create rapid results, sometimes in as quickly as 10 to 15 minutes even. And if you're just someone also who's passionate about your own personal growth and want to learn these tools for yourself, and you can then use it to help people in your community, you are welcome to learn them too. But feel free to go to our website. That's my Instagram handle. That's our business handle. Feel free to follow us as well there. And that is everything. So thank you for coming today. Thank you, D&D, for letting me host this office hours. It's been amazing to be with you all, and I hope this was of value to you. And if you have questions, since we don't have time for Q&A, feel free to slide into my DMs and I'll respond right away. But I'm happy to share and serve in any way that I can. So thanks.
Amazing. Thank you so much. This was so powerful, and I just really appreciate you walking everyone through this. And thank you everyone for participating and showing up so authentically and vulnerably and working through these really tough questions. This was such an honor to be here in this session and learn alongside everyone.